Wife believes our son is broken, so she's sending him to conversion therapy camp to save him. My son's scream shattered the quiet of our suburban home, a sound so raw it felt like the walls themselves bled. "You think I'm a mistake?" Ethan yelled, his voice cracking as he stood in the kitchen, fists balled, eyes blazing at his mother. I stood frozen, caught between the boy I'd raised and the wife I'd loved for 20 years, both tearing at the seams of our family. It started 3 months ago when Ethan, 16, sat us down at the dinner table, his hands trembling as he told us he was gay. I saw the weight lift from his shoulders, the way his eyes shone with a fragile hope, like he'd finally exhaled after holding his breath for years. I reached for his hand, proud of his courage. But Laura, my wife, went rigid. Her fork clattered against the plate, and her face drained of color. "No," she whispered, as if Ethan had confessed to a crime. That night, she didn't sleep. I heard her pacing, muttering prayers, as if God could rewrite our son. Laura grew up in a small town, raised by a pastor who preached fire and brimstone. She carried that weight into our marriage, but I thought love had softened her edges. I was wrong. After Ethan's confession, she became obsessed, scouring the internet for solutions. She found New Dawn, a conversion therapy camp in the mountains, promising to fix kids like Ethan. "He's not broken," I argued, my voice low to keep Ethan from hearing. But Laura's eyes were wild, her faith a blade she wielded without mercy. "He's lost. Tom, we have to save him." The day she signed the papers, I found Ethan in his room, staring at a photo of us fishing when he was 10. His smile in that picture was gone now, replaced by a hollow look that gutted me. "Dad, does she hate me?" he asked, his voice small. I pulled him into a hug, swearing I'd fight for him. But Laura was relentless. She believed New Dawn was his salvation, not a cage. The camp's website was slick, with testimonials from healed kids and smiling counselors. But the ex-posts I found told a different story: kids broken, not fixed, their spirits crushed under the guise of love. The morning of departure arrived like a death sentence. Ethan stood by the car, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his jaw set in defiance. Laura's hands shook as she handed him a Bible, her eyes pleading for him to understand. "This is for your soul," she said, voice thick with tears. Ethan didn't look at her. He climbed into the car, staring out the window as we drove 2 hours to the camp. I kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, his silence louder than any scream. New Dawn was a cluster of cabins surrounded by pine trees, the air thick with the scent of sap and something sharper fear. Maybe the head counselor, a man named Pastor Reed, greeted us with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We'll take good care of him," he said, his voice smooth as oil. Ethan's gaze met mine, a plea I couldn't ignore. I turned to Laura. "This is wrong. You know it is." She shook her head, clutching her cross necklace. "It's the only way, Tom." That night, I couldn't sleep. Ethan's face haunted me, his courage, his pain. I started digging, searching X for more about New Dawn. I found stories of kids who'd been through therapy, electric shocks, isolation, prayers that felt like interrogations. One post, from a girl who'd escaped, said, "They tell you God hates who you are until you believe it." My stomach churned. I thought of Ethan, alone in that place, and I knew I couldn't wait. I drove back at dawn, my heart pounding as I stormed into the camp office. Pastor Reed tried to block me, spouting nonsense about God's plan, but I pushed past him. I found Ethan in a stark room, sitting on a cot, his eyes red from crying. "Dad," he whispered, like he couldn't believe I was there. I grabbed his hand. "We're leaving. Now." He didn't hesitate, grabbing his bag as we ran to the car. Alarms blared behind us, but I didn't look back. When we got home, Laura was waiting, her face a mask of fury and grief. "You're ruining him," she screamed, but I saw the crack in her armor, the fear beneath her conviction. I took her hands, forcing her to look at me. He's our son, Laura. Not a sin, not a project. Our son. Ethan stood behind me, silent but strong, his presence a challenge to her beliefs. The weeks that followed were brutal. Laura moved out, staying with her sister, unable to reconcile her faith with Ethan's truth. I enrolled Ethan in a new school, one with a counselor who understood kids like him. He started smiling again, small at first, then brighter, like the boy in the fishing photo. One night, he showed me a drawing he'd made of family, 3 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. "This is us, Dad," he said. "Even if Mom's not ready." Laura called one evening, her voice softer than I'd heard in months. She'd been reading. She said, talking to a therapist who challenged her to question the dogma she'd clung to. "I don't know if I'm right anymore," she admitted, tears choking her words. I invited her to dinner, and when she saw Ethan, she broke down, pulling him into a hug. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet, but it was a start. Our family is still healing, piecing itself back together like a shattered vase. Ethan's stronger now, his laughter filling the house again, but I see the scars in his eyes when he thinks no one's watching. Laura's trying, attending support groups, learning to love without conditions. I don't know if we'll ever be whole, but we're fighting for it, one honest conversation at a time. What do you think was Laura wrong to send Ethan to conversion therapy? Or was she acting out of love twisted by fear? Share your thoughts. There's no easy answer here. End.